What if we could put the power of Jamf School into the hands of our teachers to give them more control over their classrooms? The Jamf EDU apps, Jamf Teacher and Jamf School Student, allow us to do just that. This is Zach. Let's learn how to set up and deploy the Jamf EDU apps. Jamf Teacher and Jamf School Student are companion apps designed by Jamf to help facilitate the classroom experience with Apple devices. Using these apps, teachers are able to take control of student devices in their classes to create a more dynamic learning experience. They can lock student devices into specific apps or websites for their lessons, request apps from IT, and even enforce temporary device restrictions. After class, the student devices go back to normal. Before we start, there are a few things to have in place. First, we need licenses for Jamf Teacher and Jamf School Student acquired from Apple School Manager and synced into Jamf School. Next, we need devices to test with. Jamf Teacher and Jamf School Student are available on iPads running iPadOS 15 or later, and Jamf Teacher is also available on Macs running macOS 12 or later. We also need to make sure that teachers and students are properly assigned to their devices, or that shared iPad has been set up and the shared iPads have been assigned to their respective classes. We also want to have working knowledge of user and device groups, app deployment and scope, and classes in Jamf School. To learn more about all of these topics, check out the links in the resources. Let's jump in and get started. Our first step is to make sure only teachers have permission to use the Jamf Teacher app. From the Jamf School dashboard, navigate to Users, Groups. If you don't already have a teacher's user group created, now would be the time to make one. Select the group to continue. Click Edit in the top right, and then in the Jamf School Teacher Status pop-up menu, choose Allow. Then, click Save. This gives any users in this group the ability to use Jamf Teacher. Depending on how you're generating users, you'll want to make sure this group stays updated. If you're not syncing users in from Apple School Manager, that means you'll need to make sure you're manually adding new teachers to this group whenever they join your school. If you are syncing users from Apple School Manager, this process can be automated by navigating to Organization, Settings, scrolling down and clicking your Apple School Manager settings beneath Synchronization. Select Allow Teachers in Apple School Manager to use Jamf Teacher. Then choose the teacher group we just configured from the Teacher Groups pop-up menu. Note, groups will only show up in this menu if they have their Jamf School Teacher status set to Allow. Then scroll down and click Save. Now, every time Jamf School syncs our users with Apple School Manager, that teacher user group will be updated with the most recent teachers. While we're here, let's configure the settings for Jamf Teacher and Jamf School Student. In the Settings sidebar to the left, click Jamf School Teacher. Here we can customize what teachers are allowed to do with the Jamf Teacher app. First, we can allow or disallow various features of Jamf Teacher. We can allow them to create and start their own lessons in the app, lock screens of student devices to a specific app or website with App Lock and Web Lock, apply restrictions to student devices, create their own classes with nearby student iPads, message individual students, use the attention feature to get students to look up from their iPads, and much more. Keep in mind, if teachers create their own classes, those new classes will populate in the Classes section of Jamf School. We recommend setting some usage expectations with your teachers to prevent overuse of this feature. I want my teachers to have all of the features available, so I'm selecting the checkboxes for each feature. From the App Distribution section, we can allow teachers to distribute apps that they have access to, with some more granular permissions on exactly which types of apps. We can also allow them to request new apps for their classes from IT. Further down, we can set whether teachers see the names of their students when looking at a class, or the name of the device the student is using. If you have multiple regions configured in Jamf School, this next section lets you set specific restrictions based on which regions the devices are in. This last section lets us choose how long the restrictions will last when a teacher sets them. This helps to keep the teachers from accidentally interfering with each other's classes if they forget to clear restrictions at the end of a class. I'm setting mine to 45 minutes. We can also choose to clear all teacher restrictions at a specific time, like the end of the school day. Finally, in the System Apps section, we can choose which system apps teachers are able to choose when setting App Lock or configuring their lessons. Click the disclosure triangle to view the list. All apps are selected by default, so deselect any apps you don't want teachers to be able to affect. Once you have these settings configured to your liking, click Save. Now let's work on the settings for Jamf School Student. Click Jamf School Student from the Settings sidebar. Similar to the Jamf Teacher settings, we can go through and choose which features we want our students to have access to. I'm letting my students activate Lost Mode, clear and reset their passcode, and clear Activation Lock. However, I don't want them to be able to erase their device. They should go to IT for that. I also want them to be able to update their apps and be able to log out of shared iPad. Raise Hand is a wonderful feature that lets students discreetly notify the teacher if they need help, so let's make sure to allow that. Our teachers work hard enough though, so upon allowing it, we can choose during which time frame students may use this feature. I want my students to be able to use this feature until a half hour after school, so I'm choosing 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Keep in mind this time is set with 24-hour time and based on individual device time zones. Jamf School uses notifications for various features like the attention screen, so we want to make sure to leave enforce notifications for Jamf School students selected. The last setting of this page lets parents use the Jamf Parent app to scan a QR code on the student device to pair with it. This allows parents to enforce their own restrictions when the devices are at home. More settings for Jamf Parent can be found in the Jamf Parent section in the Settings sidebar. See the links in the resources for information on setting up Jamf Parent, as well as a helpful guide to teach parents how to use the app. When the settings are configured to your liking, click Save. Now we can deploy the apps. Navigate to Apps, Inventory on the sidebar. If you don't see the Jamf Teacher and Jamf School Student apps here, that means you either haven't purchased the licenses for it yet in Apple School Manager or it hasn't had time to sync. Make sure to acquire those licenses and then run a sync from the dashboard. Click the Jamf Teacher app. On the right, we have some settings to configure. Let's deselect Allow Teachers to distribute this app so that teachers don't accidentally install it on student devices. Let's also select Prevent users from removing the app so no teachers accidentally uninstall it from their own devices. Then we can scope it out to the Smart Device group for our teacher devices. Leave it set to automatic installation and click Save to deploy. If you don't yet have smart device groups for teachers and students, one of the best ways to create them is by using the Teachers User Group as a reference. For the Teacher Devices Smart Device Group, use the User Member of Group criteria, one of the following, and have your Teachers User Group selected. That will populate the Teacher Devices group with any devices assigned to our teachers. For the Student Devices group, do the same thing, except this time set it to User Member of Group, not one of the following, and then select the Teacher's User Group again. That way, anyone not in the Teacher's User Group, for example, our students, will have their devices assigned to the Student Devices group. If you have other user groups for staff or other faculty, add them as well to further narrow students down. Now we can deploy the Jamf School Student app. Navigate back to Apps, Inventory, and select Jamf School Student. For this app's settings, let's deselect Show this app in Jamf School Teacher so that teachers don't accidentally restrict it during a lesson. Once again, let's select Prevent users from removing the app. Then we can choose our Student Devices Smart Group for the scope, and click Save. Our apps are now deployed. When students and teachers open the app for the first time, they'll need to go through and allow a few permissions to the app, such as notifications, Bluetooth connection, and location services. These settings are all used by Jamf School to make the apps work properly, so ensure it's not skipped. For a helpful guide on how to use the Jamf Teacher app, check out the links in the resources. That's all for deploying the Jamf EDU apps in Jamf School. We'll see you again in another module.